Mockingbird, don't try to say. Mockingbird, don't fly away. Mockingbird, please stay. Mockingbird, don't fly away today. Mockingbird, your eyes are bright. Mockingbird, don't cry all night. Mockingbird, put up a fight. And Mockingbird, don't cry all night again.
Hey, I was going to ask you, because now we could segue into a TV series that you were mentioning. And I wanted to, because it seems so that this episode is in that area. But does can I mention it? The Handmaid's Tale?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you were gonna.
We might as well.
Gonna...
This is probably the second episode anyway of our recording here.
Oh, okay.
So we can just go right into that. Did you want to? I sent. Okay, what I did, I sent you a review I wrote for the first episode of the first season because I decided to start writing reviews, and last week I wrote 10 reviews of the 10 episodes of the first season. I did it all within 5 days because a couple of those days. Bronwyn was away. She was in Massachusetts, I think. So I was writing
She wasn't in Massachusetts. She was actually in. She was visiting some guy.
Yeah. This guy named Chet. He's
I'm so funny. Right.
It's a funny guy over here.
Did Regan go too?
No. Regan had just finished school. She had finished her school year. And I had to take care of her while she was here.
How long was Bronwyn away for?
Just like 2 or 3 days. She went up to MIT for some kind of a Ivy League conference or something associated with her job. So I watched a bunch of Handmaid's Tale episodes and I wrote my tits off. I wrote all these reviews very quickly. And I'm going to put them up on the Blissville page for anybody interested.
I read the first one. You actually sent it to me, and I was confused because it's funny. You made this reference, and I said, "How come you're making a reference to something that was, you said we live in a time with Annie Lennox." Oh shit, I shouldn't talk about it. But anyway, these references you said were actually
you can mention it.
You said these references were from the actual episode, as if they were current.
Well, they were
things that were going on.
Everything I mentioned. Okay, well, I'll do this. I'll read the first sentence. Actually, do you have it on you?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I can find it. Okay, here it is. Let's just speculate for a minute. This is our world. This is a world of the Boston Red Sox and Friends on DVD. This is the world of the free press, of Annie Lennox, of Bruce Springsteen, of debit cards, and overpriced soy lattes. Now, the reason I began it that way is because every one of those elements is present in an episode in the first season, or in the second season too, because there's an episode where one of the characters is watching Friends on DVD. There is Fenway Park and the Boston Red Sox. There is a scene that takes place. There are scenes that take place in newspaper buildings. So, and then someone, for some reason, plays Walking on Broken Glass by Annie Lennox. Somebody else plays Hungry Heart by Bruce Springsteen. Oh. There's a scene that takes place in a coffee shop. So it's trying to set up a normal world for you.
But what's funny is they, I guess the show you said is supposed to be current times.
Yes, it's supposed
that's the whole kind of motivation behind probably the message
when
behind
it starts.
The show.
I mean, like in the action of the show, you can say that it starts in 2017, or you can say that it starts in 2014, somewhere within a 3 to 6 year period.
Okay, why do you think they sprinkled in these references to things that were from a long time ago, like Annie Lennox? Watching DVDs, which is, the Friends DVD box set came out 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Were they trying to do that to establish the fact that...
I think they were trying to establish that this is our world, that this is happening in. So they're giving you these reference points to say, this could be your world, this is your world, this is what's happening now.
Our world now, the viewer.
Yeah,
say.
and I mean, you read the review, so you know that it's very much a piece of science fiction. It's about basically Bible literalists or fundamentalist Christian types taking over our country because they attacked our country. They might have even dropped nuclear warheads and destroyed parts of our own country. So they managed to capture the greatest power in the world, which is our country, by doing this.
And these are Christian fundamentalists?
Yeah, they call themselves the Sons of Jacob, and they call their land Gilead.
Wow.
And they abduct all the fertile women and force them to become handmaids. And the lucky ones that manage to escape go to Canada, of all places. I would think they should go to Mexico, but that's just me. It's a very well-made show. I found watching the first season over again, because I've seen it maybe once before when it first came out. There's a lot to speak of when it comes to the quality. The performances are really quite good. The cinematography is very good. It got 8 Emmys. The first season got 8 Emmys alone for the performances and the photography and things like that. It's a very well made show. Unfortunately, as time goes on, the quality drops. We're now in the 3rd season of the show, and I've been keeping up on it, and it hasn't been good. It's kind of like a one-trick pony. It just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. That's
interesting. Of a sort of being overtaken by, this fringe religious element.
Yeah.
What can they do, with that and keep it going?
Yeah.
To make it interesting. It's like that show, The Walking Dead, was it? About the zombies? Same thing with that. It's like, okay, yeah, at first, the first season, they had some material, but then kind of being restricted by the theme itself.
Yeah, there's very little room for advancement of the story. It kind of reminds me a little, like Lost. You remember Lost?
I never watched Lost.
Well, it's the same technique where they do this thing that takes place in present-day Gilead, and then a character will flash back to a similar point in their life maybe a few years before. This is something Lost always did. It was like one of their things, but here it gets really irritating. Now, the reason I started writing these reviews was because I got tired of reading all these reviews from like the AV Club. I go to the AV Club, and the person who's doing the reviewing of the show tells us right up front that she loves it. Everything is one, and she looks at it in this very sunny, positive, critical, not critical way. And I got tired of reading that, so I was like, put your money where your mouth is and write reviews on your own, because you do it. I do this all the time, and I crank them out, and and I wanted to present a realistic point of view where some things make sense and a lot of things don't make sense about the show.
I really liked your write-up of the first episode, and I haven't seen the show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I felt like I understood it from your review.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you try to read reviews from other places, they're not going to tell you much, They're just going to say, oh, it's so wonderful and everything is... And this is happening in our world right now. This is happening in our country right now. People believe that this is happening in their country right now. And I get into so many arguments with people in the comments section. I'm like, okay, can you provide one example of how this is happening in our country right now?
This kind of conspiracy, or if you want to call it conspiracy theory, this has been going on forever.
Politicians do that anyway. I mean, politicians are always looking for power grabs. I have to get into a sad story, I guess, at some point here. I had to unfriend somebody today. And I very rarely unfriend people. I think I've only unfriended one person.
Me.
No, not you.
I was just going to say, 10 years ago, I remember, in the news or in the fringe news, they were discovering that there were areas in the country where there were like tens of thousands of empty coffins.
I remember that story. I remember hearing something about that a while back. Yeah.
The speculation was that the government knew something about some kind of looming, doomsday type of thing from disease or war or whatever it would be, or some people were saying that the government was planning on overthrowing, the population somehow.
But didn't it turn out to be something else, something really stupid?
I don't remember what it was.
I think it was just lazy funeral home owners. I think that was the story. It just turned
Really?
out that, it was like they also thought it was a cult. They also thought it was like a weird cult out there doing something involving bodies, removing bodies from the ground. As it turned out, I think it was just lazy funeral home directors who didn't want to do their job or something. I don't know. I mean, that is the human condition. That is laziness is part of our thing. That's what we do. You know, I used to be an enormous conspiracy nut. After 9/11, I got so far down the rabbit hole, I was thinking everything. And also JFK. I mean, when the movie JFK came out, I was like, oh my God, the government's trying to kill us all one at a time.
The director,
Oliver Stone.
Sure.
He's a fine director. He's a great craftsman of the technique.
Yeah.
He gets a little bit crazy. That's all. He just goes a little bit excessive, a little bit over the top. But he's a fine filmmaker. Platoon was a fantastic
Exactly.
film.
I was just going to say Platoon was a great war movie.
It's a fantastic movie. It's one of the best movies ever made. We watched it a couple of years ago again. I hadn't seen it in years, and it still holds up. It's still a fantastic film. Me and my wife, though, we differ on Natural Born Killers. I think Natural Born Killers is an excellent film, and she thinks she can't watch it. She thinks it's a headache to get through, but I love that film. Yeah. And what else? Well, JFK I mentioned, triumph of cinema and everything. You know the thing about conspiracies for me? I don't tend to believe in conspiracy theories anymore. I just believe in facts. And if you listen to the facts and you look at the truth is far stranger than any conspiracy anybody could ever come up with.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What you tend to believe generally winds up being true. Politicians are out to serve themselves. They're out to get votes, and they're going to do everything they can to get votes. They're going to manipulate the public. They are out to destroy their opponents. That's what they do. It's part of it. You know, I've never known any politician. I've never known any politician who truly cared about the people they serve. Politicians are all about getting reelected. That's all they're about. And they will say and do anything to get reelected. I was watching the Democratic debates and I was just like, what are you doing? You're speaking Spanish? You're talking about black transgender people, which I have to assume transgender people make up a very tiny portion of the population. So imagine black transgender people have to make you even less than that. And they're trying to do everything they can to coddle people and pander to them. The only people I liked in that debate, I don't know if you've seen it. I liked Bernie a long time ago. I'm not too sure about him now because he's kind of old. That worries me. And also, he really seems hell-bent on socialism. There were only two candidates in the debates that
you were talking about Sanders, how you used to like him, and now.
Yeah. I used to like him. I'm not too sure about him now because he is very old, and I do think that he was given a raw deal in 2016 when the Democrats decided to go with Hillary because he was much more popular than she was, and I didn't like that. I didn't like what they did there. Now for this debate, for these candidates, I like Tulsi Gabbard. And I like Andrew Yang because they were the only people in that debate who did not try to pander to the audience and they did not bullshit people with politics.
I know. The debates can be a lot of BS.
But the problem is neither of them are going to be selected. I think if nothing comes out about Biden, it will be him. Or I think it might be Hillary again. I think she might come back.
I don't know about that, but maybe.
But I like those too. I think they're fine. Okay. Probably because
Sniff,
they haven't been corrupted.
I'll be right back. I have to take a quick little break.
All right, and roll credits.
Okay.